Hey guys, Emo Tempest here, and today I want to show you my mono ice build. I know I call it dark ice or black ice or whatever, but I guess essentially it's mono ice with the dark element, just more dark cards than normally. I know I've mentioned this, I talked about this a while back before, but I tried playing like the Chaos and Zemus because Zemus and Genesis and Lock are pretty much crazy things to happen when I can go in and not be blocked. But I think I went for a different approach. I went for a more freeze approach, Dolan freeze approach in this deck. And so I just want to talk about the cards with you, help you understand why I made the choices that I did. And yeah, so I'll just get into it now with you. Two Sid Reigns, if you're seeing here on the bottom right. Now, I'm only playing two because he is a good card, and if I do get off his effect, it helps me reduce the cards in my opponent's hand. But to me, other than that, he's just a little too uneventful. He just doesn't do much. He ends up being a chump blocker. For the most part, I try not to party attack with this deck. It's not the best idea, but because the forwards are pretty much crucial to the way this deck has to play. But anyway, so 3 Lock, 3 Renoa, 2 Genesis. I was originally playing 3 Genesis, and I'll probably go back to 3 Genesis, but I'll talk about that in a sec. 2 Vayne, 2 Celeste, as some of you like to call her, triple Terra, double Mecha Chocobo, 2 Setzer, 1 Emperor, 1 Feral Chaos, and just for fun, 1 Sephiroth, Opus 1. Now, the forwards, they all do different things, obviously, and I'm sure most of you are aware of them, but I really like the Feral Chaos and Renoa and combo. But yeah, so those are the forwards for you. I just wanted to show you, again, I'll mention it, that I was originally playing triple Genesis, but I didn't own the 3rd Genesis, so I had to take it out and put something in, and that's where the Sephiroth came in. So yeah, that's it for the forwards. And now for the backups. In order, triple Summoner, triple Jonabot, triple Black Mage, double Empire Sid, triple Duke, triple Devout, and the 1 Tech Canyoneer. A lot of people play, some people would not play the Canyoneer, but I love this card. I absolutely love this card. I'm only playing one of it because it is too expensive for a backup. And because I mentioned the Feral Chaos earlier, I always end up making space for it. What I don't want to do is draw it early game. To me, it helps really close out the games. The way people play Raiden or Bahamut or even Sildra to, push for game or at least reduce the board, help set the matchup in your favor. This deck does that a lot with the Shivas and Canyoneer. Now, I kind of want to fit in 2, honestly, just so I don't have to hold the 1 if I open it in my first hand. But I'll see. I'll figure that out later. But these are the backups. I'm sticking to it. Yeah. Next is the summons and the monsters. It's technically only 1 monster, but I am playing 1 ghoul. I am 100% taking this card out. I always find myself pitching it when I have the opportunity to play it. I would rather play a backup or cast one of my summons or something. It just as good as it is, I haven't used it. It hasn't been active in any duel. Like I said, I always find myself pitching it. So I obviously haven't needed it. I haven't used it enough. It is good. To me, it's like an Amon. But it's obviously a more expensive Amon. 2 CP Amon. 2 CP to summon, but 2 CP and an exhaust to actually activate. So I don't know. I might test it a few more times, but I'm definitely feeling like I'm gonna cut it. It's out of here. But going into the summons, triple Shiva, 2 Mumba, 1 Lich, and 1 Zodiark. Now, I'm going to show you guys the combos with the Mumbas and the Lich so you understand why I'm playing them. I don't know if I'm going to keep the Lich or I don't know if I'm going to keep the Mumbas. I might bump one up to, get rid of one to keep one of them at 3. So it's either eventually going to be triple Mumba or triple Lich. Now, they're both good in their own regard. But one, like I said, I was testing them out. Same thing, kind of like the Ghoul. Sometimes I find myself pitching both of them because the deck does so well. But Yeah, and the important card is definitely the Zodiark. Because you're playing, you have the Dark Forwards. This will only cost you 4. Ice can't really afford to pay for a 7 cost summon, so you want to do it when you have Emperor or Pharaoh Chaos, or even in this case Sephiroth on the board. I'm hoping the new set will bring in new Dark Forwards, something I can definitely fit in here. I haven't tested Shadow Lord and some of the other things, but I'll work those in eventually as well. But yeah, the main reason I play the Zodiark is because sometimes Ice has trouble getting over things. They're fairly weaker forwards. They have most of their bases are 7k and 8k without any potential for buffs other than the Duke. So having Duke is important for this deck. But yeah, like sometimes you just want to clear their board and then even swing with the Lock and Genesis to disrupt their hand, and that's why I'm playing it. And I guess I'll show you guys the combos and the plays. Alright, and now I kind of want to talk about the combos, and I want to go over some of the important plays that this deck can do. These are just going to be pretty much your standard back row. You will have Devout sometimes, occasionally, or even Summoner instead of some of these. And the most important ones, I guess, are Duke. You want to, like I mentioned earlier, that Ice has, their forwards are a lot weaker than most forwards in other elements, and for that reason you absolutely need to have the Duke. But going over the basic plays, I guess the most important one, and not really the most important one, but the reason I want to call it Black Ice or Dark Ice in this case is the Pharaoh Chaos combo. Now Pharaoh Chaos is a good card, haste, first strike, brave, and every time he attacks you have to send something to the grave. A character, so it's either a forward or a backup, which is very important in this deck. Now, a card that we all know that we like, but is too slow sometimes, is the Setzer. Unfortunately, like Steiner from the Cat 9's, cards, he does not have EX Burst, so he doesn't get his stuff. But his second effect is when he leaves the field and he gets to the break zone, he can choose a forward your opponent controls, dull it, and freeze it. Now, dulling and freezing for, being destroyed is something great. But sometimes you can't, your opponents will let him go through and he just sits there sometimes. So Pharaoh Chaos is one of the good cards I'll bring him out, and when I swing, I can literally remove him, choose one of my opponent's forwards, probably the one in my way before winning, or just someone that's going to deal with Pharaoh Chaos, and then just dull it and freeze it. That's great. The other one is also going to be Rinoa. Rinoa is going to be another card that, for the same reason, my opponent does not want to block or destroy for any reason, but kind of like Ice and Earth used to play Delita to pop Rinoa, same thing here. You can use Pharaoh Chaos to send her to the break zone, and Rinoa dulls all of your opponent's forwards. So, assuming I had multiple forwards, some of my favorite ones from this deck are Lock and Genesis. I'm swinging for 3 points of damage, and my opponent is dropping 2 cards from his hand, assuming there's no Odin on the EX Burst or whatever, but you get the idea. Now, that's part of it. That's the main one. Obviously, if you're in this situation, you can always just use Zodiark. The Zodiark will help you get... it'll be cheaper, like I said, and we have the 4 backups here just to activate it. The Zodiark will show you that just another way to clear their board. You don't want any obstacles when you're attacking with your forwards in this one, and that's kind of what this deck is. The other thing is very important is that Jill is a very good card, and sometimes you draw her, you already have one, and yeah, you can use the S ability to dull and freeze one, but if you send this, you would pay this obviously to summon him, and then you would send it, and then hey, guess what? I drew into another Jill, and I'll freeze 2 forwards that may have attacked already, and that is just, more opportunity for you. Same thing with the Sid. If we wanted to, we can get rid of it, and sure enough, if I have another one, or if I draw into the next one, I can replay it. Those are the main reasons you want to do that. Sometimes you do only have Black Mage to discard and get rid of, that he discards himself, but you also have the Summoner. If you end up drawing into the Summoner, you can keep this one on early game, but also very quickly possible for you to remove from Pharaoh Chaos, and that'll open room for Canyoneer, which is another game clencher. you kind of just want to, like I said, a lot of this deck does is just, my opponent does not move. And I'm sure if you saw in the duel video, that happens a lot. I freeze cards, sometimes forwards, for at least 2 turns, max, minimum sometimes. So the game really will go in your favor if you have a lot of their cards immobilized. Yeah, that's the first one. And just to talk about it, I guess, if they're always frozen, Mecha Chocobo just helps you get rid of them. I'm only playing 2 because he doesn't... I hate the fact that when he gets blocked, he just breaks. He just snaps. So I felt 3 was too cloggy. I was playing 3 originally, but I got over that. The next combo I want to talk about, I guess the main reason I wanted to build this deck also was because I've been playing Final Fantasy VI on the Super NES, Final Fantasy 3 sometimes, if that's what they called it. And if you ask me, this engine is very similar to the 9 engine, and I guess it doesn't really, people don't see it that way because Setzer's not an EX burst, but he's Steiner. When he comes out, he searches any character, which will be the Empire Sid, and the Sid, it acts as the Echo, will search a forward. So when you go from here to here to here, you're thinning out your deck, and you get, you know, the cards. It's pretty much the same thing, the same engine. The only thing, obviously, they had to nerf is that Setzer is not an EX burst, but the Dole and Freeze effect when he gets removed is just as good, man. And that was the deck. That's pretty much the concept behind building this deck. Another combo, I guess the board clearing combo I kind of want to go over with you guys. It really lies with Lich, Terra. Now, Lich will deal each forward your opponent controls damage equal to half of its power, rounded up to the nearest 1,000. So if he's 8k, it'll deal, if he's 7 or 8k, it deals him 4k. If he's 9 or 10, it deals them 5k. So if they're dull, obviously, you can pop this. This Lich doesn't require them to be dull, but Terra does. But if I do this, I'll deal 2 or more forwards, at least 4 or 5k, which is what you can deal with. And either way, whether it's 7, 8, 9, or 10k, when Terra comes out, so long as they're dull, obviously, she can deal 4k to 2 forwards. Now, this just helps me get of 2 forwards right off the bat. Now, if you had the energy, or if you had the CP, you could always just exhaust, tap to activate Terra's ability. For each CP you do, that's an extra 1,000. So technically you could get rid of about 2 or 3 forwards at once, but you know, that's a play I've been testing out. I've only done it once, so I did it in the old Per Duel series actually, but when this deck was still in its early stages. The other one is Mumba. Choose a forward, deal it damage equal to its power -1. Now, even if they don't have any buffs, this is easier, but I forget if this one refers to printed cost, but I think it's only reducing power that refers to printed cost. But either way, you'll activate Mumba. Let's say this is all we have. So we'll do Mumba, and it'll deal, let's say, 8k to a 9k. But all I have to do, if hoping it's dull, obviously, we can just pop it. Now, unfortunately, a lot of this requires my opponent's forwards to be dull, but that's why we have Renoa, that's why we have Genesis and Shiva's that we mentioned before. I do have, like I said, they have to attack, and because I'm keeping them frozen for the most as often as I can, these plays happen more often. Now, if another way is Black Mage. Black Mage can secure another kill for you with dealing 4k to a dull one. So it kind of, this deck punishes my opponent for attacking me and just lets me stay ahead and gain advantage. But yeah, those are the plays, guys. That's just something. That's what I wanted to go over with you. I do like talking about the plays with you guys. Celi's is also another one part of this combo. When she deals a point of damage to my opponent, she'll deal 4k to a dull forward as well. And Sid Reigns will help with that as well. All of these dealing 4k to forwards, so you'll be able to take care of 7 and 8ks for sure. And if need be, Terra can always pop the 8 or the 9 or 10ks like this. So yeah, That's just the way it goes. Remember, Sid Reigns will make him discard a card. Lock and Genesis always make him discard a card as well. And Mecha Chocobo breaks dual forwards. Yeah, I'm going to do more playtesting. Like I said, I'm either going to stick with Lich or Mumbas. But yeah, this is the deck in short, guys. Please let me know what you think. I really hope you appreciate it or like the combos. Don't forget to drop a like for me. Give it a thumbs up. Help spread the word. And if you're not already subscribed, I recommend that you do so. I will be doing a lot of new content next week. Next week we're having dual series for a bunch of different decks. And yeah, that's it for me, guys. I'll catch you next week.